Hey there, Bob from Oregon's Constant Gardener. It's the OCGFAM Show for Tuesday. What do we do on Tuesdays? I'm going to tell you what we do on Tuesdays. Tuesdays, we go through step by step, with no step missed, hands-on, how to use the stuff that we like, the stuff that we use, the stuff that we recommend, like cultured biologics, full-on, SLF 100, Photo Plus or Microbe Life, and especially Nectar for the Gods. That's where we're going to start with Nectar for the Gods. So let's get started. This is the Nectar for the Gods line. 17 bottles. It looks complicated. It kind of is. But it doesn't have to be, because most of these products you see here were made as additives to the line. What happened was, through research and customer feedback, that sort of thing, they found that they would build these products that were used for enhancing specific traits or for dealing with specific issues. But that's not what you need to do to get started. When you're getting started, you need to start with the basics. That's what we're going to do, the basics. And that's this, the Spartan Regimen from Nectar for the Gods, the base line. Medusa's Magic, Gaia Mania, Herculean Harvest, Zeus Juice, and Olympus Up. Now, when you get more familiar with the line, you may want to bring some of those products in for certain things, but to get started, and maybe even for the long haul, this is all you're really going to need. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Spartan Regimen. That's the feeding regimen that you use with all the instructions for these products, and we're going to go through it step by step. We're not going to skip any steps. Let's get going. Let's take a look at the chart. So what we got here is all the nutrients listed along this side, and then all the stages of plant growth across the top. Seed to clone, early vegetative, all the way to late flowering, and then flush. We'll talk about flush later. So you take these, and this tells you how much you need of each nutrient in this stage. So let's look down here. See the Medusa's Magic, if we were in late vegetative, 10 millimeters. Gaia Mania, 15 millimeters. So that's how that works, and we'll go through all that. And let's take a look at this. The first thing it says here, we named this regimen after the Spartans because they believe in keeping it simple, and we believe there is great power in simplicity. With just these 4 nutrients, many gardeners have had great success creating healthful and abundant gardens, and we believe that you can too. And that's the point of the Spartan Regimen. Let me show you the old feeding chart. I think I got one here. Yeah, this is the old feeding chart here. And what it had was the simple, the advanced, and the pro level. And so a lot of people felt like, well, I'll start off with the simple, but I should move to the advanced, then I should move to the pro level. So that's why they developed these. The Spartan Regimen, the Greek Regimen, and the Roman Regimen. And they're basically very similar to the simple, the advanced, and the pro level. But the difference is that the Nectar for the Gods didn't feel that you needed to use this pro level. In fact, they felt like the advanced or maybe even the simple was the best way to go. And so they didn't want people to feel like, well, you got to move up this chart. They wanted you to feel like and know that whichever one of these you use, whichever one makes the most sense for you is the one you should use. So that's why they have 3 now. And that's why we're starting off with the Spartan, which is the simplest one to get people started with it. So let's get back to it. So we've already looked at the top of the chart with the amounts you use of each nutrient, and we read the statement. So let's just get on into the instructions. The feeding regimen reflects the collective knowledge and experience and input of countless Nectar for the Gods gardeners. What does that mean? Well, to make this chart, what they did is they took the knowledge, the base knowledge that they had from developing it, and they also took the people that were actually using the product, and they asked them how much to use of each one, which ones do you use, and all that, and developed these regimens based on those people's experience. They just took kind of an average of it. This guy uses a lot, this guy uses not too much, and they got somewhere in the middle. And so it's a good starting point, and that's what it says right here. This feeding regimen is a good starting point, but every gardener and every garden are different. As you become more familiar with these nutrients, you can develop your own feeding regimen that works for you and your garden. And that's the important thing, is that what's here may work for someone, but it may not work for you. So it's a good place to start. You're not going to go wrong by doing this, but as you get more familiar with it, you may want to tweak it to make it work better for your situation. So let's move on here. The amounts listed in the feeding regimen are the amount you should use for each gallon of water in your feeding mixture. And that's what we've got in here. We had a gallon of water, poured it in here. So now let's move on to the next thing. By their nature, these ingredients settle very quickly. It's important to shake the bottles thoroughly before pouring and to stir the feeding mixture throughout the mixing and feeding process. Let me show you that. So this is the Herculean Harvest. This is one of the ones that's the thickest because it's mostly the bone meal. So we're going to take that, we're going to shake it up just a little bit, and I'll show you here. I'm going to take that off. I bet you it's not going to be shook up enough. So I'm just going to pour this out for you here. And see that? How it's just real, it's just coming right out. Coming right out. And then see, it gets thicker. Thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. Super important that you mix it up really well. I'm gonna go grab another one and we're gonna really shake that up. I mean a lot. You really need to shake it up. And especially when you first get it. So when you've had one of these for a while, you've done a few feedings with it, it's gonna be pretty mixed up in there. But when you first get it, it's been sitting on the store shelf for who knows how long, maybe a month or more, because it's gotta go from where it gets made, it's gotta get taken to where it's gonna go, it's gotta get sold to you, you gotta take it home. So, let me stir this up here. All right, now let's pour this out here and see what we've got. Yeah, this looks a little better. It's kind of foamy in there. And pour this out. I'll pour out more than we need here. See that? It's still a little thin. What it should look like is a melted milkshake. You know when you get a milkshake from the McDonald's or the Dairy Queen or wherever, and you don't drink all of it and you get that at the bottom, and it's kind of thick still, but kind of runny too. That's what you're looking for. Let's go here. All right. See, now there we go. That kind of slow pour there. That's what you need. Don't pour this back in there. What can happen is you get kind of contaminated in there from whatever's going here. So you don't want to pour it back in if you pour too much. That's the point with the stirring thing. Now let's get on and move on to the chart to step 1 here. Mix all the nutrients with water in the order they are listed on the chart from top to bottom. Now, we got who got here? Ernie. Ernie here is in late vegetative stage, we would say. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that 10 milliliters of Medusa's Magic, 15 milliliters of Gaiamania, 5 of Herculean Harvest, 5 of Zeus Juice, and we're going to take that to a 6.2 to a 6.4 pH. So let's get going. Medusa's Magic, 10 milliliters. You got to shake this one up good, but not like you do with the Herculean Harvest. All right, take the top off there. I'm going to put 10 milliliters in here because we're doing 1 gallon. There we go. Put that in there. We're going to mix it up. That mixed up pretty good. We're going to want to mix up each one as we go. What do you got here? And take that out of the way. It's not in the way. Okay, take our Medusa's Magic. Put that back. Gaiamania, same thing. You want to shake it up pretty good. But you don't have to go crazy like you do with the Herculean Harvest and the Olympus Up. All right. Get that one shook up. Take the top off of there. 15 milliliters of this one. All right. Pour that in. Clean off our little cup there. Mix that up. Now the Herculean Harvest. Now, on the late vegetative, we're going to go with 5 milliliters of this. Just a little bit. There you go. All right. Mix that in. Give that a good stir. The Zeus Juice. 5 milliliters of this too. Okay. Take that off there. Just a little bit there. Might be a little much. All right. Mix that in. Now we're going to mix the whole mixture up. Now that we got that mixed up, we're going to skip down our chart to the first of the notes. pH is critical. Nectar for the Gods is a calcium-based line that is most available to the plant in a pH range of 6.2 to 6.8. Other nutrient lines rely on nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium to deliver nutrition to the plant, and when utilizing these elements, they are most available in the range of 5.7 to 6.2. But since calcium is a reactive element, it will bind and carry other nutrients into the root system for your plants to utilize. It is critical with nectar to check and adjust the feed nutrients before watering. Okay, and that's just what we're going to do. We're going to get our pH meter here. Take that off. Now we're going to give this another mix. Just want to mix it while we're doing it here. We're going to put our meter in there. Mix while we're going. Okay. Down there at 6.6, 6.5, 6.4, 3, 2, 6.1. Holding steady at 6.1. So, this is the point where we add our pH up to adjust the mixture to get it up there to where do we want it? 6.2 to 6.4 at this stage for the plant. So that's not going to take a whole lot of this. Now, one note, if you have some weird water or something, and actually your pH was too high and you had to go down, you're going to want to get some of this, some Hades down to lower the pH. And interestingly, you're going to want to lower the pH below where you want it to be and then bring it back up with some of the Olympus up, because you need this Olympus up not just to adjust your pH here, but also in your plant, because it buffers the pH in the plant to keep that those nutrients available. So we got this, oh boy, all over the place. I'm gonna pour this a little of this in here, so I have it there, and then I'm pour a little bit in, just a little bit, mix that up real good, and I'm gonna look at my pH while I'm mixing it. It's up to 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. There we go. All right. So I didn't need any more, just a little bit. When you're doing a lot bigger mixture with gallons and gallons, you may need a lot more of this to make that happen. But with a small batch like this, you don't need a lot. All right, so there we go with that. I'm gonna put this back here. Keep that clean. Always keep your equipment clean. I'll set that back down. Okay, so now we got our mixture together there. Let's go back to our chart. Once you have your pH reading, compare it the range indicated at the bottom of the row of the feeding chart and use the Olympus up or Hades down to adjust the pH within that range. That's what we did. We're done with that. Now, slowly pour the mixture into the soil at the base of your plant. Let me get a little pourer. We got one here somewhere. Here it is. Here it is right here. All right. So like I said, you need to keep this mixed up. As you're feeding your plants, like you got, 5, 6, 10 plants there, you want to mix this up as you go, because you'll notice that it'll settle pretty quick. Another thing too is you only want to mix up what you're going to use, because if you let this sit out for a while, the pH is going to drift on you and it's not going to be as good. So you want to just mix up as much as you're going to use for your feeding there. You don't want to store it all mixed up. So let's get that. All right. Let's pour that on our plant. How's that, Ernie? That tastes good? Good stuff for you there? All right. Now, the rest of the notes start with good soil. And when in doubt, flush it out. We're going to save those for next time. So next video, we're going to talk about your soil, doing a slurry test, and about flushing. So that's that for today. This seemed like it took a long time, but I wanted to go into detail about how every little step goes. So that's the show for Tuesday. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. For more information about anything on today's show, go to our website, OCGFAM.com. See you tomorrow.